Before continuing, take the rose, red candle, cup of wine, and bread and salt off the altar and place them in their associated quarters. Visualize all the astral officers God forms at their respective stations. Give one knock, still standing west of the altar, and say, "This candidate seeks for entrance." Give a second knock and say, "I vow that within this mystic sphere I shall henceforth lose my name and be known in this temple as I am an inheritor of the dying world, arisen and entered into darkness. The mother of darkness hath blinded me with her hair. The father of darkness hath hidden me under his wings. My limbs are still weary from the wars which were in heaven. Anubis of the east speaks to you within your mind. Unpurified, unconsecrated, thou canst not enter our sacred hall. Go clockwise to the station of Solistes in the north. Visualize Aramuth holding out the chalice of water for you. She traces the sigil of the cup. Take up the cup and dip your thumb or your index finger in the water. Trace a cross upon your forehead. Then trace a water triangle upon your brow. Starting with the bottom point of the triangle, say, "I am purified with water." Return the cup. Go clockwise to the station of the Dochos in the south. Visualize Thom Esh Neith holding out a censer for you. She traces the sigil of the swastika. Take up the censer and trace with it a cross in front of your forehead. Then trace the fire triangle in front of your brow. Starting with the top point of the triangle, say, "I am consecrated with fire." Return the censer and walk to the west of the altar facing east. Visualize the goddess theme appearing on your right side. Also imagine the form of Osiris in the east. In your mind you hear him ask, "Inheritor of the dying world, why seekest thou to enter our sacred hall?" My soul wanders in darkness and seeks the light of the hidden knowledge. I believe that in the sacred temple of the mysteries, knowledge of that light may be obtained. I am truly willing to take a solemn obligation in the presence of this assembly to uphold the sacred mysteries and the current of the light. I understand that there is nothing contrary to my civil, moral, or religious duties in this obligation. Although the magical virtues can indeed awaken into momentary life and in the wicked and foolish hearts, they cannot reign in any heart that is not the natural virtues to be their throne. Osiris speaks to you. He who is the fountain of spirit of man and of things came not to break, but to fulfill the law. Are you ready to take this oath? Say, "I am ready to take this oath." Kneel down and place your right hand on the cross and triangle on the altar. Imagine the astral forms of the 6 primary officer God forms gathering around you to form a hexagram. The hegemon is already at your right. The Hierophant, as Horus, the elder, comes down from the east, pinning a black serpent under his foot as he comes to the east of the altar. Eris appears at your left. Behind you, Solistes, Carix, the Dochos, the Hierophant, who was taken on the god form of Ur, or takes your left hand in his. At this point in the ritual, you are aware that the hall seems much more crowded now with god forms than before, god forms that you barely perceive. In the east, the colossal form of Thoth remains the sign of the Emperor. Wind chorus are stationed at the subquarters, but you are mostly aware of the 42 silent figures who line all sides of the temple walls. However, your attention is captured by the four-colored candles which designate the boundaries of your temple circle. In their place are four enormous pillars of fire and cloud. The pillar to your right and the one in front of you are dual pillars of light. The pillar to your left and the one behind you are twin pillars of darkness. After the pause, repeat the oath. I, Richard D. Johnson, in the presence of the Lord of the universe, who works in silence and whom not but silence can express, and in the hall of the neophytes of the current of the golden dawn, do of my own free will and accord, hereby and hereon, most solemnly promise, by and on his holy symbol of the light, to dedicate my life to the pursuit of the mysteries of the golden dawn tradition of magic, and to the completion of the great work. I solemnly promise to persevere with courage and determination in the labors of the divine science, even as I shall preserve with courage and determination through this ceremony which is in their image. I pledge from this day forward to strive with enthusiasm and devotion in the study of the Hermetic arts, seeing that such teachings are not given to those who wish only a cursory knowledge thereof. I undertake to maintain a kindly and benevolent relation with all true seekers of the light. I will respect all religions, seeing that all faiths contain a ray of ineffable light, which I seek. I pledge that I will not suffer myself to be placed in such a state of passivity that any person, power, or being may cause me to lose control of my words, thoughts, or actions. I vow that I will not debase my mystical knowledge in the labor of evil magic at any time, tried or under any temptation. I solemnly promise not to flaunt or parade any knowledge I may acquire to those who are not seekers of the light, lest our sacred knowledge be profaned through my error, vanity, and neglect. I swear upon this holy symbol to observe all these things without evasion, equivocation, or mental reservation forevermore. Furthermore, if I break this magical obligation, I submit myself my own consent to a punitive stream of power set in motion by the divine guardians of this current, who live in the light of the perfect justice, and before whom my soul now stands. Hierophant, hegemon, heiress, officer, Godform's whisper. They journey upon the winds. They strike where no one strikes. They slay where no one slays. And as I bow my neck under the sword of Eris, visualize the sword on the nape of your neck. So do I commit myself unto their hands for the vengeance or reward. So help me, my mighty and secret soul, the creator of my soul, who works in silence, and whom naught but silence can express. Rise, neophyte, of the 0 = 0 grade of the Golden Dawn. Visualize the officer God forms returning to their stations. In the east, the colossal figure of Thoth gives a sign of silence. Take up the cup of water, and the censer theme takes your hand and leads you to the north-facing Anubis comes forward with the wind and the lamp to the northeast. Say, the voice of my undying and secret soul said unto me, let me enter the path of darkness, and peradventure there shall I find the light. I am the only being in the abyss of darkness. From the abyss of darkness came forth, hear my birth from the silence of a primal sleep. And the voices of ages answered with my soul, I am he who formulates in darkness, and the light shineth in darkness, that the darkness comprehendeth not. Let the mystical circumambulation take place in the path of knowledge that leadeth unto the light, with the lamp of hidden knowledge to guide me. Visualize the Charax and the Hegemon leading you, sunwise, around the temple. As you pass the Hierophant for the first time, imagine a loud knock, and mentally intone the name Binah. As you pass the Eris in the west, you also hear a loud knock. The second time you pass the Eris in the east, imagine a loud knock, and mentally intone the name Hokmah. As you reach the south, the Charis stops you. Anubis speaks, unpurified and unconsecrated, thou canst not enter the path of the west. Aramus steps forward and draws the sigil of the cup before you with the water. Mark your forehead with the symbols of the cross and the water triangle as before. Say, I am purified with water. Thumb Eshneth steps forward and draws the sigil of the swastika before you. Wave the censer in front of your forehead and the figures of the cross and fire triangle. Say, I am consecrated with fire. Theme speaks, child of earth, twice purified and twice consecrated, thou mayest approach the gateway of the west. Continue to the west, where the fierce form of the Eris stands. The fiery-eyed Horus with red sword and black banners bars your advance. Thou canst not pass by me, saith the guardian of the west, unless thou can tell me my name. Say, darkness is thy name, thou great one of the paths of the shades. Before all things are the chaos and the darkness and the gates of the land of the night. Thou art he whose name is darkness. Thou art the exorcist in the midst of the exorcism. I stand before thee without trepidation, for fear is failure, and I am without fear. Horus speaks, thou hast known me now, so pass thou on. Fear is truly failure, and he who trembles at the flame and at the flood and at the shadows of the air hath no part in God. Give a knock. Visualize the Charax and the Hegemon continuing to lead you in the procession, and you pass the Eris in the west. Imagine a loud knock. When you pass the Hierophant, another knock is heard, and you mentally intone the name Kether. As you reach the north, the Charax stops you again. Anubis speaks, unpurified and unconsecrated, thou canst not enter the path of the east. Aramus steps forward and traces the symbol of the cup in the air before you. With water, mark your forehead with the symbol of the cross and water triangle as before. Say, I am purified with water. Thalmasnes steps forward and traces the symbol of the fly-fought cross in the air before you. Wave the censer in front of your forehead, and the figures of the cross and the fire triangle say, I am consecrated with fire. Theme speaks, Child of earth, thrice purified, thrice consecrated, thou mayest approach the gateway of the east. Continue in the east, where the form of the Hierophant stands, the great god Osiris with the crown-headed wand, and the white banner bars your advance. Thou cannot pass by me, saith the guardian of the east, unless thou canst tell me my name. Say, light dawning in the darkness is thy name, the light of the golden day. After the formless and the void, and the darkness, then cometh the knowledge of the light. Thou art that light which ariseth in darkness. Thou art the exorcist in the midst of the exorcism. Unbalanced power is ebbing away of life. Unbalanced mercy is weakness and fading out of the will. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and barrenness of the mind. Thou art the wielder of the forces of balance. Osiris speaks, Thou hast known me now, so pass thou on the cubical altar of the universe. Return the cup and censer to the stations in the north and south. Seam leads you to the west of the altar facing east. She remains on your right side. Eris comes to your left side. Solistes, Charax, Theodosios from the triangle behind you. The Hierophant descends from the east in the god form of Horus the Elder. He holds a crown-headed wand and banner of the east as the god form advances between the pillars. Say, Come thou in the power of the light. Come thou in the light of wisdom. Come thou in the mercy of the light. The light hath healing in its wings. Kneel down and visualize all the officer god forms except the Hierophant doing the likewise. For a moment, close your eyes and visualize before you the god form of Hor Pek Roti and the god form of silence seated upon the white lotus. The Hierophant then gives a knock. Say the following invocation and imagine all the god forms repeating the invocation along with you. Lord of the universe and the vast and mighty one, ruler of the light, the darkness, we adore thee and we invoke thee. Look with favor upon the neophyte who now kneeleth before thee, and grant thine aid unto the higher aspirations of his soul, so that he may prove a true and faithful frater neophyte, to the glory of thine ineffable name. Amen. Rise and envision the officer god forms doing likewise. Visualize the three main officers creating the implements over your head. They speak, Inheritor of a dying world, we call thee to the living beauty. Wander in the wild darkness, we call thee to the gentle light. Thou dwelt in darkness, quit the night, and seek the day. We receive thee into the current of the golden dawn. Cabs, Pek, Cox, Pax, light, and extension. Feel a white light forming over your head in the shape of a triangle. The officers take their implements. In all my wanderings of the lamp, Charax went before me. Though it was not seen by mine eyes, it is the symbol of the light of the hidden knowledge. Theme leads you to the east of the altar, where you visualize the treading down of a black serpent, a symbol of your own evil and the unbalanced persona. Theme remains on the outside of the white pillar. The astral form of the Horus steps forward between the pillars to instruct you in steps, signs, gripping the words of the neophyte.